I received a message from my husband Daniel on a gloomy Saturday afternoon. Honey, I caught 3 fish today. The quiet really helps clear my mind. Attached was a photo, but not of him by a wild lake or deep in the woods as he said. Instead, my phone screen showed him lounging comfortably at a beachfront bar, his arm draped around a young woman with golden blonde hair. Behind them stretched the clear blue ocean and rows of sun loungers. The timestamp on the photo read just 2 minutes ago. That's wonderful, darling. I'm so glad you're finding peace in nature, I replied, my fingers tapping calmly on the screen, though inside it felt like a volcano ready to erupt. Did Daniel think I was stupid? Did he really believe I wouldn't notice such obvious signs? My name is Grace Walker, and until 10 minutes ago I thought I had a happy marriage. But then my colleague Emily rushed into my office, her blue eyes filled with concern. You need to see this, she said, pulling up Brittany Summers' Facebook page in front of me. There, in plain view, was Daniel, the husband with whom I had built a life over the past 10 years. He was supposed to be on a camping trip to relieve work stress, yet he was clearly enjoying a luxurious vacation at a resort with his young secretary. Each photo appeared like a dagger piercing my heart. Them holding hands on sunset walks, sharing romantic candlelit dinners and embracing by the pool. Beneath each image were sickeningly sweet captions, "Finally with my true love" and "No more hiding." Their carelessness was almost a cruel joke. Did Daniel honestly believe he could deceive me without leaving a trace? Oh my God, Grace, I'm so sorry, Emily whispered, her hand gently resting on mine. What are you going to do? I closed my laptop slowly, keeping my composure. Years as a lawyer had trained me to maintain a steady demeanor in any situation. Daniel had no idea that his web of lies was unraveling because his mistress couldn't resist flaunting their secret getaway on social media. He also didn't realize that while he was sipping cocktails by the sea, I already held everything I needed to destroy his world. First, I said, pulling my lawyer's notebook out of the drawer, I'm going to text my darling husband and ask if the fish are big. I crafted another message. Miss you so much, can't wait to hear all about your wilderness adventures. Emily watched me, confusion evident on her face. Aren't you going to confront him right away? I only gave a faint smile. In every case I had handled, I had learned that the element of surprise was the most powerful weapon. Daniel thought he was clever with his perfect camping story, but he had no idea that social media would become his fatal flaw. You know what's better than catching him in a lie? I asked Emily, my hand still jotting detailed notes in the notebook. It's letting him keep lying while I quietly dismantle everything he has. Daniel and I met in college. Back then, he was a confident, charming guy who seemed to share my ambitions. We got married after graduation, and I turned down a prestigious job offer at a law firm in New York to stay with him in Denver. Daniel joined an investment firm, while I climbed the career ladder at a top law firm in the city. Everything seemed perfect, until Brittany showed up 6 months ago. Brittany was young, energetic, and constantly mentioned by Daniel. She's so efficient, he often said. Finally, a secretary who can keep up with my schedule. I had ignored the warning signs because I had always trusted my husband. Now, looking back, every small detail formed a complete picture. I remembered our anniversary dinner a few weeks ago when Daniel said he had to work late. Emily gently reminded me, "Do you remember that night? He said he had to stay at the office." I reopened Brittany's Facebook page, scrolling back through her old posts. Sure enough, there was a photo at a fancy restaurant that night, captioned, "Late night at the office has never felt so good." How could I have been so blind, I muttered. But Emily shook her head. You weren't blind, Grace, you were trusting. There's a big difference. I checked our joint bank account. Not only were there charges for the vacation, but also many other suspicious transactions. First-class plane tickets, reservations at luxury hotels, and even expensive gifts I had never received. My heart nearly stopped when I discovered something even more alarming. Daniel had transferred over $75,000 into a private account I had no idea existed. He's planning to leave you, Emily whispered, as if saying it too loudly would make the truth unbearable. It wasn't just an affair. Daniel had crafted a perfect script to leave me with a broken heart and perhaps even a mountain of debt. But I wouldn't let that happen. I wasn't the kind of person to quietly accept defeat. If he thought I would just sit back and let him hurt me, then Daniel had chosen the wrong person. I stood up, the pain in my heart hardening into resolve. I need your help, I told Emily. Can you cover my meetings for the rest of the week? Of course, she nodded without hesitation. What are you going to do? I smiled, my eyes glinting with a cold light. I'm going to make Daniel wish he had never thought about lying to me. The next morning I woke up with the mindset of a lawyer preparing for the biggest battle of my life. I wore my favorite dark blue suit, tied my brown hair into a neat ponytail, and applied a touch of neutral lipstick. I needed to look both professional and powerful. The first step of my plan was to protect my assets. I went to the bank as soon as they opened, bringing all the necessary documents. The branch manager, Mr. Miller, recognized me from the legal work I had handled for them in the past. He politely invited me into his office, his eyes showing genuine concern. Grace, it's so good to see you. What can I help you with today? He asked. I suspect my husband is making unauthorized transactions from our joint account. I want to freeze all accounts and transfer my personal assets into a new, more secure account, I said, sliding the account statements and evidence of suspicious transfers in front of him. Mr. Miller reviewed the documents, his expression shifting from casual to serious. I understand. We'll take immediate action. Would you like to set up additional security measures for the new account? I want everything to be as secure as possible, I nodded. Also, if there are any attempts to withdraw from the joint account, I need to be notified immediately. We'll make sure of that, Mr. Miller replied, his respect evident in his tone. If you need anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out. Leaving the bank, I felt a wave of relief. The next step, I headed to the office, entered a private meeting room, and called the Human Resources Department at Daniel's company. I requested to speak with Mrs. Linda Hargrove, the head of HR, whom I had worked with before on a few legal cases. Grace, it's been a while. How have you been? Mrs. Linda's voice remained as friendly as ever. I'm good, thank you, Linda. I'm calling today about a personal matter involving Daniel and his secretary, Brittany Summers. There was a brief silence on the other end, then her voice turned serious. Go on. I have evidence showing they're violating company policy regarding relationships between supervisors and subordinates. Brittany's social media posts make it quite clear. I sent the necessary documents via email, including screenshots and posts from Brittany. Mrs. Linda let out a heavy sigh. We'll need to investigate this immediately. If this is true, it could severely impact the company. I understand and hope the company will take appropriate action, I said, keeping my voice calm but firm. That afternoon, I called a professional locksmith and requested all the locks in the house be changed. Daniel always believed he had control over everything, but he never paid attention to details like who managed the security system or who had the authority to call for repairs. While the locksmith worked, I began packing up Daniel's belongings. Each expensive suit, each polished shoe, everything went into black trash bags, neatly and coldly. When everything was done, I dragged the bags to the porch, lining them up next to a small sign, "Free Stuff." I snapped a photo and sent it to Daniel with a message, "Hope your camping trip is wonderful." Not even 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Daniel's number flashed on the screen, but I didn't answer. Instead, I texted back. "The forest signal seems strong, huh? Where are you, the campsite or the beachfront resort?" Right then, a call came in from an unknown number. I hesitated but eventually picked up. "Is this Grace Walker?" The voice was female, soft but anxious. "Yes, this is Grace. Who is this?" "I'm Sarah. I used to room with Brittany. I need to talk to you." "About Daniel and Brittany." My heart pounded. "Go ahead." "They're not just cheating on you, they're also involved in a series of scams and blackmail schemes. Brittany has done this before with other people. They target wealthy executives, create compromising situations, and then threaten to expose everything, unless they are paid off." I sank into my chair. "Are you sure? Do you have proof?" "I do. When Brittany moved out, she left behind some documents and old messages. I didn't want to be involved in this, but I can't stay silent knowing the truth." I noted down Sarah's address and arranged to meet her the next morning. Before hanging up, she added a detail that sent a chill down my spine. "Daniel has done this before. Brittany said he was very good at covering his tracks, but this time she actually fell for him, which is why everything came out like this." I sat still in my office, my mind racing. If what Sarah said was true, Daniel wasn't just betraying me. He was involved in something far more serious. I knew I had to act immediately, but this time I would do everything my way. ensuring he had no way out. I reopened my notebook, adding new notes. The picture before me became increasingly clear. Daniel was not just a liar, he was a professional con artist, and I, once seen as naive and vulnerable, would be the one holding all the cards in the end. The next morning I woke up early, organizing all documents, emails, screenshots, and bank statements into a neat briefcase. I was fully prepared for the important meeting with the FBI agent, whom Emily had helped me connect with the night before. Just one introduction from a reputable lawyer like me, and the FBI immediately recognized that this was not just a simple affair, but could be the beginning of a serious federal criminal investigation. I arrived at the FBI office in Denver at 9 a.m. Agent Lisa Grant, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor, invited me into a private meeting room. After a few polite greetings, I opened my briefcase and presented everything I had gathered. Daniel wasn't just deceiving me emotionally, I said, pushing the stack of documents toward her. He was also using money from our joint account to fund lavish trips and expensive gifts for Brittany. But more importantly, there are suspicious transactions into a private account, and I suspect he was planning to leave the country with her. Agent Grant reviewed the documents, occasionally taking notes. You've done an excellent job, Grace. These transactions are highly suspicious, and if what you say about their previous scams is true, this could be a much larger scheme. I also have information from Sarah, Brittany's former roommate. She said they had used this tactic to blackmail other executives before, but this time Brittany went off script because she genuinely fell for Daniel, I added. So we might be looking at a series of connected blackmail cases, Agent Grant nodded, her eyes gleaming with the excitement of someone close to solving a big puzzle. We will open an official investigation. Are you willing to cooperate with us? I've been ready since I received my husband's camping text, I replied, a surge of determination rising within me. That very day the FBI began monitoring Daniel's bank accounts and tracking his and Brittany's online activities. They discovered that Daniel had booked a flight to Mexico under a false name and transferred a large sum of money into a foreign account. It was clear he was preparing to flee with Brittany. 3 days later, the FBI informed me that Daniel and Brittany had attempted to leave the country through Los Angeles International Airport. However, as soon as they approached the check-in counter, federal agents appeared. Their entire plan collapsed right then and there. Brittany broke down in tears while Daniel stood frozen, his eyes filled with panic as he saw the handcuffs snapping around his wrists. I received a call from Agent Grant shortly after. We got them, Grace. Daniel never expected you to have all the evidence. He has nowhere left to run. I hung up, feeling a wave of relief wash over me. Every piece of the plan had fallen perfectly into place, and now the truth was fully exposed. The trial took place the following month. The courtroom was packed with people, from the media to financial industry professionals, all eager to witness the outcome of what had been dubbed the perfect takedown in legal circles. Daniel appeared in an orange prison jumpsuit, his face pale and gaunt. Brittany sat beside him, her eyes red and avoiding everyone's gaze. I sat in the front row next to my lawyer. As the prosecutor presented the evidence, every detail of Daniel and Brittany's scheme was laid bare before the court. From the shady financial transactions, exchanged emails, to Brittany's social media posts, everything fit together seamlessly to paint the picture of a large-scale fraud scheme. When Sarah took the stand as a witness, she recounted how Brittany had boasted about previous blackmail attempts. Each word she spoke was like a hammer blow, crushing Daniel's weak defense. Finally, the judge sentenced Daniel to 8 years in prison for fraud, embezzlement, and blackmail. Brittany received a lighter sentence of 5 years, as she had cooperated and provided additional information for the investigation. As the judge read the verdict, Daniel looked over at me, his eyes filled with helplessness and despair. But I no longer felt pain or regret. All I felt was a deep sense of peace. I had overcome the hurt, and I had regained control of my life. The months following the trial marked the start of a completely new chapter in my life. I was no longer the Grace Walker of the past, the betrayed, heartbroken, and lost woman. Instead, I had become the strong, confident, and fully empowered Grace Walker. My fraud detection consulting firm, named Integrity Solutions, quickly gained a strong reputation in the industry. Businesses large and small, from startups to multinational corporations, began approaching me to help them establish internal control systems and prevent fraud risks. Time and again, I helped companies uncover sophisticated schemes, from embezzlement to contract manipulation. Each successful case was a testament to my abilities, and more importantly, it helped me affirm my own worth. During a meeting at the office of a large technology company, the CEO said to me, "We've heard about how you handled the situation with your ex-husband. The way you exposed his entire scheme was truly impressive." Those compliments were not only a motivation but also a confirmation that I had turned my pain into real strength. The projects kept coming, and I began building my own team. Emily, my former colleague at the law firm, joined as a legal advisor. She was not only a loyal friend but also a reliable partner. Together we created a professional environment where everyone felt valued and respected. I also invested time in writing and speaking at industry conferences. My book, The Truth in the Shadows: How to Detect Internal Fraud, quickly became a bestseller. On stage at events I shared my story, not to seek sympathy but to inspire those who had been betrayed or felt lost. I wanted them to understand that every failure can become a stepping stone to success if you know how to stand up and move forward. One autumn afternoon, while sitting in a small coffee shop near my office, a postal worker walked in with a large envelope. "Ms. Grace Walker?" he asked, and when I nodded, he handed me the envelope. One look at the postmark and I knew it was from the prison where Daniel was serving his sentence. I didn't open the envelope. The italicized lines on it could have been an apology, a defense, or even a plea for forgiveness, but to me none of it mattered anymore. I folded the envelope, placed it on the table, and as I got up to leave, I left it there, along with a tip for the server. A chapter had closed, and I didn't need to read its final pages. That evening I received a message from Sarah, the girl who had helped me uncover the truth about Daniel and Brittany. She had recently moved to Denver and was looking for a stable job. Without hesitation, I invited her to my office the next morning. Sarah appeared more mature than the last time I saw her. The shyness had given way to confidence, though there was still a hint of caution in her eyes. "I heard you're looking to add to your team," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "Yes," I nodded. "Would you like to give it a try?" Sarah smiled, a bright and genuine smile. "I'd love to. After everything that happened, I also want to contribute to protecting others from similar situations." We sat together sharing stories about the past months. Sarah spoke about her journey, how she overcame her wounds and started anew. I realized that not only had I learned to turn hardships into opportunities, but Sarah was also on that same path. From that day on, Sarah became an integral part of the Integrity Solutions team. She had a unique talent for data analysis and detecting anomalies in financial reports. Together, we continued to help many businesses avoid financial traps and build a transparent, safe work environment. My new life wasn't just about work. I learned to take care of myself, travel to new places, and connect with like-minded people. Each morning, I woke up full of energy and eager to face new challenges. I no longer felt like a victim of the past, but as someone who held the reins of her own future. One day, standing by my office window looking down at the bustling streets, I realized that I had finally found true peace. Not the false peace Daniel once pretended to find in his lies, but the peace that came from the freedom to own my life, to live with truth, and to fear nothing. I had closed the past, not by forgetting it, but by making it a part of my growth journey. From the pain, I had built a new life, a life full of meaning and value. And every day I reminded myself, look how far I've come, and I'm only going further. Grace Walker's story is not just a journey from pain to strength, but a clear testament that every failure can become a springboard to success if we know how to rise. In real life, betrayal or failure can bring us down, but what truly matters is how we respond to it. Turn your wounds into motivation. Use your intellect and determination to rebuild your life. Sometimes, the greatest challenges open the door to a brighter future. What do you think about Grace Walker's journey? Would you have done the same in her situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to follow the channel to stay updated with more inspiring stories and valuable life lessons about family and everyday life.